I just want to say I am thankful for the work that the Prime Minister and Mr. Imbert is doing to stabilize this country. When they come in, things was in shambles as far as monies to run the country, and as far as we could see, they hold the fort, and we are on our way to recovery.
Okay,
yes,
what do you expect? What do you expect to come out of the media budget review today?
It's at this point good news. I expect to hear good things because we've been getting good reports. They're all giving a good report. Okay. Right? That they did a good job, Mr. Imbert and the Prime Minister. They did a good job.
Okay. So, how do you feel about the media budget review today?
The media budget review?
Media budget review.
No way, I feel no way about it.
Okay, no problem. Do you think things would still be the same in Trinidad and Tobago?
I can't predict that. Only God alone knows that. Only God will know what will happen today, tomorrow, forever. So all we can do is just pray. Pray for the best.
Well, I think he has betterment, you know. I don't think he has no betterment. The country is how it is, and it will go down just as how it is already.
So you think that the country would stay the same, right, true?
Yeah, and too much are killing. I think they must do something about the killing. Less crime in the country. If they have more love, I believe the country will be plenty better.
What do you think about the mid-year budget review today? Do you think the economy would be the same or things would be different?
Things would be the same. Most times when it have budget, things go up. So I don't feel that anything would go down.
You don't think anything will go down?
No. The cost of living is rising every day. So I don't feel the budget would make a difference.
Okay. Do you think that the Minister of Finance, Colin is doing his bits he can for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, I feel so.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
The economy all over the world is just high.
Okay. What's your views on the media budget review today? Do you think the economy would be the same or things would be different in the country?
Things would be real different. Things would be hard. If things would go up in this country, things would go higher. I mean, prices of food and like bills and whatever, it would get worse than how it is. And then we have a lot of foreigners coming in. I mean, things have to get worse. Things would never get better in this country.
I think so.
Okay.
Because I'm still getting paid on 2013 salary, and they're talking about if you have to get back pay, you wouldn't have your job again. You understand? So I don't think it will change.
Okay.
It's depression right throughout the world. I think the only place that's showing some signs of what I may call growth is in Guyana.
Guyana?
Yeah, and with that increase in the oil that they have found down there, Guyana is placed in a very good position in the Caribbean right now.
Okay.
And I hope that our government will be very, very much concerned about what is happening with the oil refinery. That is a pivotal role. The government should not sell our assets, because with the fluctuation of the price of oil, with what is happening in Libya and these places, and we never know what will come.
Sure.
Some of us have gloom and doom, and may be saying that we will never have our oil boom. Keep our refinery. It's part of our national patronage, and we'll never know what will happen. We just have to do what is necessary, take the actions that we have taken, but do not sell our refinery. So I'm hoping, because I'm here, I never travel to go anywhere, probably Tobago, Barbados, but I'm never, I may have thoughts of other people, right, in my mind, that can probably do a better job, but let's hope that he does the best that he can.
What's your take on Colin Imbert?
You should get rid of him.
Oh my goodness.
So, get rid of Colin Imbert?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Auto affirmation announcement.
Madam Speaker, I have the honor to lay the following papers. 1 to 2, the audited financial statements of telecommunications services of Trinidad. I beg to move that papers 1 and 2 be referred to the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee.
Compensation Board for the period 1st of October 2015 to the 30th of September 2016.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very kindly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have the honor to lay paper number 5, the ministerial response of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries to the 20th report of the Public Accounts Committee on the examination of the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year 2017.
Reports from committees.
Member for Lupino Bonnier West.
Speaker, on behalf of the member for Lupino Bonnier West, may I do it, or would you want another committee member to do it, ma'am?
Committee.
Yes.
Inquiry into the implementation of the new public procurement system.
Member for Diego Martin, Northeast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have the honor to present the report of the Joint Select Committee appointed to consider and report on the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Bill 2018.
Prime Minister's questions.
Water and the watering of food crops has been of great concern to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and was brought to my attention and to the attention of all, and has been gotten the sight by the Minister of Health, the Minister of Agriculture, with great concern. Arising out of this video and also arising out of the restrictions that we have been placing nationally on people abusing the water systems and so forth coming out of the dry season, WASA has been increasing their patrols, responsibility of abstracting water, and therefore any
warning, whether any kind of shot across the bow, so to speak, were made to these farmers prior to the seizure of their property.
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, I was very clear in saying that one, yes, it has come to not only my attention, but the public's attention about the seriousness of what was posed. WASA, in exercising their job, in being vigilant and in protecting the well-being of the citizens of this country throughout Trinidad and Tobago. In exercising their job, we have always accused WASA of not doing their job. In this case, the police was doing their job. And in the exercise of their duties and in light of the laws that they have, they found certain matters. They found pumps that were actually extracting, that was against the law from their interpretation of the law. And they have made certain charges. The police of WASA are simply doing their job, of which I have to congratulate them for doing.
Supplemental member for Shogunas West.
Kind to indicate, Honorable Minister, that it is their interpretation of the law. So the matter is not yet in the court. So having said that, it is clear that the law, the Water Works and Water Conservation, Section 54.4 that you talk about, that gives the, that you indicate gives the WASA that power, requires procedural fairness. Requires
you have 15 seconds to ask a question. Could you ask the question, please?
Yeah. Are you aware, prior to, whether you are aware that the law requires procedural fairness on the part of the Water and Sewage Authority officers?
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I would expect the people, the individuals and the police, I have very much confidence in the police at WASA in knowing the law and in knowing the procedures that are required to exercise charges against someone. And therefore, they have done, and I am sure in light of what the potential hazard that was before them, they took action in an attempt to, one, protect and ensure that the law was being followed, and also to protect the potential danger that what it is that could have been posed by the consumers, to the consumers.
Member, you're only allowed 2 supplemental questions. These are urgent questions. Member for Oropuch West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, in light of recent reports which indicated that BPTT will be unable to supply Atlantic LNG Train 1 with the appropriate amount of gas during the period 2020 to 2021, owing to several exploration challenges, could the Minister inform the House how will this development impact on Trinidad and Tobago's economic recovery?
Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, the member cannot possibly or seriously expect me to answer that question prior to the delivery of the mid-year review.
Supplemental, Member for Naparima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, were you aware when you spoke last week in glowing terms about the economy, were you aware of this information by BPTT regarding supplies to Train 1? And if you were not aware...
Member, 1 question, please. Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will not take the bait. I will answer this matter in the mid-year review.
Member for...
Of course.
The member has answered the question. It may not be the way we want, but he's answered. Member for Naparima, you have a supplemental, right?
Minister, if you were not aware, if you were aware, did you set out to misadvise the population?
Member for Caroni East, I've recognized the member for Naparima, Attorney General and Minister of Finance. I'm on my legs. Member for Naparima, your supplemental question.
Minister, if you were aware of the information from BPTT, did you set out to deceive or misadvise the population?
I will allow misadvise and not deceive. Misadvise.
Madam Speaker, I will not be baited by the member for Naparima. I will address this matter in my speech.
Madam Speaker, based on that question, I would like to invoke... I would...
Member for Aruka Maloney.
I am invoking Standing Order 48-6.
And Member for Aruka Maloney, I think the question asked was misadvised. I will not uphold your objection.
Questions on notice, questions for oral answer.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are 6 questions for oral answer, and we'll be answering all 6.
Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 180 to the Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development, there are several government lending agencies in Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, the question does not specify the agency from which the information is being sought. It is not possible, therefore, to answer the question with any degree of specificity, and the member may be advised to file the question with further and better particulars.
Supplemental, Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, is it possible for you to, as we say, A, NEDCO? Could you give details of NEDCO in this case as the Minister responsible?
Madam Speaker, if that question is posed properly, I will answer the question. But at this time, I certainly do not have that information.
Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. In this case, question 181, with respect to to the Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, the total outstanding loans made by the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, NEDCO, as at March 31st, 2019 is 5,171.
Supplemental member for Stragonas East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, is it possible for you to indicate the outstanding loans and what percentage of those are irrecoverable?
Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, I do not have that information with me at this time.
Member for Stragonas East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 182 to the Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. A, the concept of work of equal value lies at the heart of the fundamental right of equal remuneration for men and women for work of equal value and the promotion of equality. Whilst there is no official finalized policy, the Ministry of Labour and Small Enterprise Development conducted national stakeholder consultations in Trinidad on August 24th, 2018, and in Tobago on September 21st, 2018, on the establishment of employment standards legislation. Amongst the issues being considered is a recommendation for the enshrining of the principle of equal pay for equal work, irrespective of gender. It should be noted that the principle of equal pay for work of equal value is practiced within the public service, as officers, whether public servants or contract officers, are paid equally for work of equal value, irrespective of their gender. By virtue of sections 80 and 81 of the Industrial Relations Act, Chapter 8801, the Industrial Relations Advisory Committee has been established to advise the Honourable Minister on any matter relating to industrial relations on which the Minister requests advice, and to keep the Act under review. The Act, the Act is being consistently reviewed, and the Advisory Committee submitted a draft policy position paper on employment standards to the Minister on July 23, 2018 for review. In the said position paper, the Advisory Committee noted that at present several basic terms and conditions of work are set out in the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, specifically within the Minimum Wages Act, which set out hours of work, the Workmen's Compensation Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Retrenchment and Severance Benefits Act, the Maternity Protection Act, the Equal Opportunity Act, and the Children's Act. Notwithstanding the fact that at present several basic terms and conditions of work are legislated, the Advisory Committee believes that further definition of the rights and responsibilities of workers and employees and employers in the workplace is required not only to realize the decent work agenda, but also to develop a peaceful, competitive, and protective industrial relations climate to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. The answer to Part B, it should be noted that this is a draft policy paper which has to be finalized and therefore submitted to Cabinet for approval. At present, all stakeholder comments received by the Ministry have been collated and are currently under consideration. In answer to Part C, the draft policy paper on employment standards contemplates the creation of an employment standards bill that will provide for the following. 1. General provisions in respect of the scope of application of the legislation. 2. The provision of written particulars of employment. 3. Non-discrimination in the workplace, which enshrines the principle that men and women shall be entitled to equal pay for work of equal value. 4. A safe and healthy workplace environment. 5. Terms and conditions of work, regulation of working time and leave provisions. 6. Termination of employment. And 7. monitoring and compliance and enforcement. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Member for
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Having listened to all of the information, could the Honourable Minister indicate by when we can expect to see the policy statement be brought to us for implementation?
Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development.
As soon as we have completed our review of the recommendations, it will be brought.
Member for Oropuch East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 203 to the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities.
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, information from the Water and Sewage Authority, WASA, does not support the allegations that WASA granted a waiver of approximately $500,000 to Nutramix hatchery development at Rootville Road for a private Riverlet Road for a private commercial facility. The expansion of the distribution network to provide pipe-borne water to the population is the responsibility of the Water and Sewage Authority. However, in the discharge of this responsibility, the authority from time to time engages in joint ventures arrangements with the private sector, as this is the practice in the utility sector, which is characterized by high capital expenditure. The opportunity for such a collaboration presented itself when the Ministry of Works and Transport was constructing a bridge along the route across the Caroni River and undertaking major repairs to the Rootville Road in close proximity to where Nutramix Limited has been building a state-of-the-art hatchery. WASA was invited to install valves along the roadway. This is the normal practice when the Ministry of Works and Transport is developing roadway infrastructure in an area so as to minimize inconvenience to the traveling public in the future. Madam Speaker, Couva is one of the fastest growing areas in the country, and this work will facilitate the development of the area as well as generate immediate benefits to the authority from the commercial sale of water to residents and existing businesses.
Member for Chaguanas West.
Honourable Minister, could you indicate to this House the cost of this joint venture between the Water and Sewage Authority and Nutramix?
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, the work that, as I said, that was done by the Water and Sewage Authority is work that is traditionally done when repairs are being done to a particular bridge. And therefore, these were the works that were conducted. The private sector arrangement involved the provision of heavy equipment, right, at a cost of approximately cost of that heavy equipment was about $200,000, with WASA providing technical assistance.
Member for Chaguanas West.
Honourable Minister, are you aware that there's a principle in the utility sector that the user pays, and that therefore if there's any scope of works and there's a benefit to any user, that user pays? Are you aware of that principle?
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, that principle, yes, we understand that principle, but it is not applicable in this particular case. Because here it is, this was work that was being conducted by the Ministry of Works. This area was earmarked for development, both industrial and commercial. At the end of the day, there was certain work that needed to be done by WASA. You could not have gone there after you have fixed the work by the Ministry of Works and then go afterwards and do the work by the Ministry of WASA. It just does not make sense. So this was done there to facilitate future development by WASA, and they will get tremendous revenue coming from commercial and residential use.
Member for Oropuch East.
Hey, thank you very much for the explanation, Mr. Minister. Mr. Minister, in light of this very good coincidence of the Ministry of Works fixing a bridge and a private commercial entity being established, in light of this good coincidence, could you indicate to us whether joint ventures of this kind are part of a policy framework that other private sector players and commercial developers can benefit from that policy as well?
Minister of Public
or would we have to
Utilities.
rely on a coincidence of sort?
Minister of Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, as I've said in the utilities sector, both at TNTech and in other utilities, this is something that is practiced, and that is something that is common practice. And therefore, it is something that has happened, and there have been occasions way back in other times when the similar types of arrangements was actually put in place. Therefore, again, I want to reiterate that this is work, and I'm sure you're not objecting to the constituents getting a bridge that was in badly need of repair being repaired. And therefore, that is work that was earmarked to be done by the Ministry of Works. And as is customary, WASA, working with the Ministry of Works, got the work done at that point in time.
Very well done.
Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 204 to the Minister of Works and Transport.
Minister of Works and Transport.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, question 204. Madam Speaker, this matter is being negotiated. However, it is noteworthy that the state has not paid 1 cent to the owners of the building which once housed the Kedona Drive-In Cinema. Thank you.
Supplemental member for Oropouche East.
Is the Minister suggesting that full and final settlement on this matter is outstanding for another government to undertake?
Minister of Works and Transport.
Madam Speaker, I am sure this matter will be settled before 2045. When another government might be here. The Ministry of Works do not negotiate final payments. It is done by the Ministry of Finance under the Valuation Department, and the Ministry of Works will be guided once that decision is taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your flamboyant response. Could I ask, for example, where are we with the negotiations on that business? Do we expect it to be settled soon? And when can you tell the population, before you demit office soon, that that matter will be settled?
Minister of Works and Transport.
Madam Speaker, some time ago, I saw on a UNC Facebook page, the Minister of Works got $100 million. 2 weeks after that, I heard the leader of the opposition on a platform saying the Minister of Works got $140 million.
Fake.
1 week after that, I heard the leader of the opposition say the Minister of Works got $130 million.
Yeah. How much is this really?
Madam Speaker, my information is that the owners of the Kedona Drive-In does not own the land. No claim have been made for the land, and a claim is being negotiated for substantially less. Madam Speaker, it's important to note that the previous government approved $150 million for land acquisition. This government reduced the claim to $89 million for 24 properties. It is impossible to understand how the leader of the opposition could say on a platform that $130 million is being paid for one of the properties. Thank you.
Aprima supplemental.
In view of the ethical issues involved, do you not think that you should have recused yourself from answering this question?
Minister of Works and Transport.
Madam Speaker, it is difficult to accept that people who served in government does not understand that the Ministry of Works does not interfere in land valuation.
Under you.
Well,
you forget about point 14 to Santa.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Okay. Madam Speaker, again, the Ministry of Works and Transport and the Minister of Works and Transport do not interfere in the acquisition of land. It is done by the Valuation Department under the Ministry of Finance. Thank you.
Supplemental member for Oropouche.
So, Minister, you are confirming to us today, is it not, that at this stage in that development works there, you don't have a clue as to how much money will be used to settle that property, or
Minister,
any settlement involving that parcel of land?
Minister of Works and Transport.
Madam Speaker, again, the government did approve $89 million from $150 million as approved by the previous government. It is expected that all the properties to be acquired will fall within the approved allocation. Thank you.
Member for Orpuch East.
We have to do that as well. Question number 205 to the, to the very distinguished Minister of Housing and Urban Development.
Minister of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the investigation into the alleged matter is currently ongoing. Consequently, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development cannot comment or divulge any information at this stage due to the sensitive nature of the matter. However, the Ministry, together with its agency, the Trinidad and Tobago Housing Development Corporation, is cooperating fully with the authorities with respect to the said investigation, Madam Speaker.
Supplemental member for Orpuch East.
Thank you very much for the clarity, Minister. Could you indicate whether this report or matters connected to this have been sent to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service?
Minister of Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, yes, I can confirm. As a matter of fact, the matter is being investigated by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Request for leave to move the adjournment of the House on definite matters of urgent public importance, statements by ministers, personal explanations, introduction of bills, motions relating to the business or sittings of the House and moved by a minister. Public business, government business, motions.
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Be it resolved that this House adopt the second report of the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives for the fourth session, 2018-2019, 11th Parliament, on the consideration of proposals for the supplementation of appropriation for the fiscal year 2019. Madam Speaker, starting with the global situation. On the face of it, global economic growth appears robust. The world economy is expected to expand at a steady pace of 3% in 2019 and 2020, and growth rates in many developed countries are close to the potential, while unemployment rates have fallen to historical lows. Among the developing economies, the Asian regions remain on a strong growth trajectory, while many commodity exporting countries are continuing a gradual recovery. However, short-term risks are rising with the potential to disrupt economic activity. These include escalating trade disputes and an undercurrent of geopolitical tensions. We in Trinidad and Tobago must therefore be ever mindful of the fact that we are a small commodity-producing economy that is vulnerable to exogenous shocks. However, as I will demonstrate, the present government has, by 2016, oil prices had dropped as low as US $26 per barrel, averaging only US $38 per barrel in that year. While there has been a modest recovery in prices since 2016, we have not seen $100 oil for the last 5 years, and the prices are still volatile. Reduced oil prices have also had an effect on natural gas prices, which are far less than they were 12 years ago. I make these points, Madam Speaker, to illustrate how far we have come since the oil price shock of 2014-2015, which resulted in a reduction in annual revenues from petroleum of $20 billion, from $28 billion in 2014 to $8 billion in 2016. These figures are published in Appendix 20 of the 2018 Review of the Economy, for those who wish to know, and represent a 38% reduction in government revenue between 2014 and 2016. There are few countries in the world, Madam Speaker, that can withstand a 38% reduction in revenue and survive. But through careful and prudent financial management by this government, we have managed to stabilize our economy, keep people in jobs, keep the country running on an even keel, and return our country to growth. The pessimists and opposition voices inside and outside of Parliament would have us believe that it is not so. But the facts and figures don't lie. Looking at domestic conditions now, Madam Speaker, in my last budget statement in October 2018, I announced that the Central Statistical Office had estimated that the Trinidad and Tobago economy had grown in real terms by 1.9% in 2018, thus reversing the decline that had started in 2014. The news of an economic turnaround was met with cynicism by those opposed to us and by a number of perennially negative commentators who seem to be only comfortable when things are going badly. Indeed, Madam Speaker, some of these commentators appear incapable of seeing anything good in a positive report and are always searching for something prejudicial to say. I have even heard it said that 1% growth is nothing to shout about. But you can be certain, Madam Speaker, that if it was a 1% decline, they would be propagandizing loudly about an economic collapse. However, since the last budget statement, we have had confirmation of our economic recovery from the major international agencies, such as the IMF, the United Nations Economic and Policy Analysis Division, and the World Bank. Indeed, as recently as last Thursday, the IMF's communications director confirmed in a live press conference that our economy began to improve in 2017 and returned to growth in 2018. Allow me to illustrate these facts with actual data, Madam Speaker. I have in my possession the quarterly GDP figures from our Central Statistical Office for 2017 and 2018. In the second quarter of 2017, our GDP declined by 5.6%. In the third quarter, it declined by 3.3%. And in the fourth quarter, it declined by 1.9%. You will observe that the decline in GDP was slowing down as the year progressed. Hence the reason why the IMF has said that our economy began to improve in 2017. Following this, in the first quarter of 2018, our GDP switched from negative to positive, growing by 0.9%. This was followed by growth of 2.1% in the second quarter of 2018 and growth of 1.5% in the third quarter of 2018. This is actual data, Madam Speaker, not projections. And according to the CSO, therefore, we have had 3 consecutive quarters of economic growth in 2018. For those who may be sidetracked by the barrage of misinformation that comes from uninformed or biased commentators, 3 consecutive quarters of growth after a period of decline is a clear indication of economic recovery. We await the final figures for the fourth quarter of 2018 from the CSO to confirm the actual growth figure for 2018. Looking back at 2015, Madam Speaker, it was under those very difficult conditions, with a huge drop in revenue of almost 40%, that the new government, led by the able Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, put in place a carefully sequenced program of macroeconomic adjustment and reform. This established the framework and policy strategies for paving the way to a resumption of self-sustaining growth and prosperity. By 2018, a disciplined fiscal stance had become ingrained as a feature of this government's macroeconomic policy framework to bring expenditure broadly in line with revenue potential. As you will appreciate, Madam Speaker, the expenditure reduction and revenue enhancement programs represented a very challenging policy agenda. Yet we kept the program firmly on track. We acted swiftly and decisively to adapt and to strengthen policies as events unfolded. We curtailed unproductive spending and embarked on continual improvement in the efficiency of operations of government and the public sector. Our 2019 budget estimates reflected the results of our sustained efforts when we budgeted for an expenditure of $51.77 billion and revenue of $47.72 billion, supported by financing of $4.05 billion, or a deficit of 2.5% of GDP, well within international norms. Madam Speaker, the recovery of our economy in the face of a global slowdown was no doubt due to the disciplined fiscal strategy embedded in our economic transformation agenda. With the revival of growth now established and projected to stabilize around 2% annually by 2021, we are now strengthening other supporting policies, strategies, and reforms to ensure that growth over the long term will be sustainable, bringing lasting employment and greater equality of incomes and opportunities. In particular, Madam Speaker, we're ensuring that natural gas production will continue to be a major driver of economic growth. Largely because of the efforts of our energy sector negotiating teams, and I may say our expert negotiating teams, natural gas production increased in 2018 to an average of 3.63 billion standard cubic feet per day, an 8% increase over the 2017 average of 3.36 billion cubic feet per day. Further, gas production continues to increase and is expected to reach an average of 3.8 billion cubic feet per day in 2019. Indeed, Madam Speaker, production is already averaging 3.81 billion cubic feet per day in the first quarter of 2019. You should note that this data is readily available on the Ministry of Energy website. On this matter, Madam Speaker, I have taken note of alarmist newspaper articles about a recent announcement by BP that it may not be able to guarantee a continued gas supply for Train 1 of the Atlantic LNG plant. The unwarranted negativity that is evident in these publications follows a pattern that is endemic in some quarters. Allow me to clarify. The BP wells with less than satisfactory results are only 2 in number and are infill wells in existing gas fields. Unlike exploration wells, infill wells are normally brought into production almost immediately. I'm advised that one of these infill wells will go into production shortly, although with lower volumes than anticipated, leaving just one unproductive well. All of this drama, therefore, is totally unnecessary. It should be noted, Madam Speaker, and this is fact as opposed to fiction, in February 2019, just 3 months ago, gas production almost reached 4 billion standard cubic feet per day, the highest production since March 2015. Accordingly, Madam Speaker, notwithstanding recent events, the Ministry of Energy, after consultation with the major oil and gas companies, has advised that gas production is still expected to average 3.8 billion cubic feet per day in 2018. It is noteworthy that when BHP Billiton announced the discovery of a significant gas find in 2018, and another encouraging gas find as recently as April 2019, and the company made it clear that it intended to make a huge financial investment in Trinidad and Tobago, we did not hear one peep out of the naysayers. Clearly, they are allergic to good news. Further, Madam Speaker, oil production is projected to stabilize in 2019 and thereafter trend steadily upwards from the current 60,000 barrels per day in 2019 to over 80,000 barrels per day by 2023. This projected expansion is partly due to the performance of the newly established oil production company Heritage Petroleum, which has begun to ramp up its exploration and production activities, as well as the planned activities of other local producers. We also envisage that, barring unforeseen circumstances, the resumption of refining operations at Pointe-à-Pierre could take place by December 2019, since a number of strong proposals for the reopening of the refinery are expected. Also, the Caribbean gas, chemical, methanol to dimethyl ether plant is expected to come on stream later this year. This expansion in the energy sector has already had a knock-on effect on the non-oil sector, which had been sluggish for some time. In this context, I wish to commend the recent commitment by the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association to convert Trinidad and Tobago into a model of production for the region by doubling manufacturing output through local and foreign investment. We are supporting this comprehensive manufacturing strategy as we strive to eliminate waste and corruption, improve the national work ethic, and the processes for doing business. Further, Madam Speaker, under the Belt and Road Initiative pioneered by China, the China Harbour Engineering Company is moving to modernize the communities of the Southwest Peninsula with a proposed new dry dock and shipbuilding ship repair facility in La Brea. I'm told that market assessment and feasibility studies have been completed, and I am advised that if all goes well, this public-private partnership arrangement to implement this important project will be in place in the near future. At the same time, the Beijing Construction Engineering Group executed a contract in February 2019 for the design and construction of the new Phoenix Park Industrial Estate in Couva. Both projects will generate high-value jobs during the construction and operational phases. The Moruga Agro-Processing and Light Industrial Park will also soon transit from the design stage to the construction stage. Our model of economic adjustment has thus minimized the negative impact on the citizens of the country. Inflation remains at very low levels, at 1% in 2018, the lowest in decades. Our active and enlightened social agenda is geared to averting marginalization and alleviating poverty. Our well-targeted social safety net is protecting the vulnerable from the short-term costs and dislocation of adjustment. For example, eligible former employees of Petrotrin will soon benefit from a land distribution program involving ownership of residential lots and access to agricultural sites with associated financial support. Vulnerable persons in the society are being increasingly supported with effective social policies. The social safety net base for our retirees, our working families, our senior citizens, and major vulnerable groups has increased by more than 5,000 since September 2015, from 156,000 to over 161,000 persons. Through improvements in efficiency and delivery, we have distributed over 1,000 additional food cards to deserving households and an additional 2,500 public assistance grants. We have also increased the number of persons in receipt of senior citizens' pension by 1,600, while significantly increasing the cap on pensions. Madam Speaker, we have also invested in our people through our education, health, and housing programs. The Government Assistance for Tuition Expenses, GATE, a revolutionary program of the PNM, launched in 2004, and the Higher Education Loan Program, together with free universal education at both the primary and secondary schools, are generating a cadre of human resources to meet the requirements of our growing economy. Our hospital development strategy will provide access to quality health care for our citizens throughout Trinidad and Tobago. The Arima Hospital is more than 75% complete. The Point Fortin Hospital is more than 60% complete. The proposed new Sangre Grande Hospital and the reconstruction of the Port of Spain General Hospital Central Block are at early stages of work commencement. Just this morning, a contract was signed, while the delivery of health care at the Couva Hospital will also commence shortly. Affordable quality housing is being provided to address the supply of housing units to meet the demands of over 175,000 applicants. We are completing previously stalled projects with almost 1,000 units already delivered. We are also initiating new projects to provide safe and affordable housing units for our citizens. Under the Aided Self-Help Program, 700 qualified individuals are now preparing to construct their own homes. Under the Housing and Village Improvement Program, 57 homes are being constructed or improved in the first village identified for attention, Samuel Cooper in Moruga, and it is my understanding this is also happening in San Fernando West. Under the public-private partnership arrangement, 201 units are under construction in Cunupia, 72 units in Faizabad, 160 in Mount Hope, 98 in Trestray Larima, 58 in Malabar, 53 in Corinth, 102 in Harmony Hall, 86 in Prey Village, Moruga, 210 in South Key, 65 in Gomez Trace, Moruga, and 504 in Curragh. The involvement of the private sector is being consolidated with the well-timed, and I must congratulate them, commendable decision of Republic Bank to secure a US $75 million loan from the International Finance Corporation to assist in home construction, especially for middle-income households. We are now ensuring that our housing construction program, including the public-private partnership arrangement, is put on a self-sustaining basis. Given our objective to complete 6,000 units by 2020 and to roll out 3,000 per annum thereafter. The proceeds of our first issue of housing bonds at an attractive rate of 4.5% per annum over 5 years, due within the next 2 months, will be utilized to immediately accelerate the housing construction program, with the proceeds from mortgages issued by the Trinidad and Tobago Mortgage Finance Company being utilized to finance on an ongoing basis development and sale of houses. Key attributes of the housing bonds would include: the bonds will be offered to individuals in the first instance. The bonds would be underwritten so that any bonds not subscribed by individuals would be placed with institutional investors on the secondary market after the close of the bond issue. Initial investors with a minimum of $5,000 investment will receive priority for a housing unit once that investor meets the eligibility criteria of the HTC. With over 75,000 qualified persons on the HTC list, we expect to be able to assist a significant number of persons through this mechanism. Madam Speaker, our economic resilience has also been anchored on wide-ranging infrastructure activity, including expansion of the road network, coastal protection, and advances in the delivery of A&C services. The San Fernando to Point Fortin Highway. This important project has been rescued from the brink of disaster that we found it in 2015, with the main contractor in bankruptcy. Through astute management, we were able to recover $1 billion from the funds for the project, and construction works are now well underway, with completion scheduled for December 2020. The Churchill Roosevelt Highway extension to Sangre Grande is being constructed in phases with completion scheduled for January 2020. The Valencia-Toco Highway is now at an advanced stage of design, completion, and environmental impact assessment. The Moruga Main Road is being comprehensively rehabilitated with scheduled completion in 2020. Coastal protection works in several areas are re-establishing coastal communities. Preparation for the construction of a new modern airport terminal building in Tobago is well advanced. The Andean Development Bank of Latin America is providing technical assistance for the project, and the main terminal is being constructed by a design build finance contractor with associated works by subcontractors with public financing. Construction work is scheduled to commence in December 2019 with practical completion by early 2021. Caribbean Airlines is managing the air bridge carefully and through close monitoring has been adjusting its schedule as required to facilitate smooth travel between Trinidad and Tobago. In 2018, CAL provided 1,053,910 seats to and from Tobago, with usage of 86% or 962,302 seats. In the first 3 months of 2019, CAL has provided 250,071 seats, with utilization of 223,991 seats, or 90%. CAL has also become profitable in 2018. Indeed, after years of billion-dollar losses under the previous government, Caribbean Airlines under this government has moved from perennial loss-making to sustainable profitability. The Sea Bridge is being consolidated with the arrival shortly of the new modern fast ferry, Jean de Valette, which has been leased for a 1-year period, providing additional capacity for 800 passengers and 230 cars. This fast ferry would join the Galleon's Passage and the Trinidad and Tobago Spirit and provide the necessary surplus capacity to allow proper maintenance of the existing vessels. In mid-2020, the arrangements on the Sea Bridge will be further upgraded and rationalized with the arrival of 2 brand new state-of-the-art fast ferries, now under construction for Trinidad and Tobago, by Hostile Ships Pty Limited and Incat Tasmania Pty Limited. Before I leave Tobago, I am pleased to announce that as Minister of Finance, I intend to grant approval in the very near future to the Tobago House of Assembly to raise loan financing on the local market, a budget promise in the sum of $300 million for a number of development projects in our sister isle, including health